The cryptocurrency market has seen a subdued period recently, with most assets experiencing double-digit declines since reaching multi-year highs earlier this month. Reports indicate that spot Bitcoin ETFs, previously driving demand and price spikes, have shown negative to flat flows in the last 10 days, contributing to the market's downturn. Despite these challenges, the industry is eagerly awaiting the 2024 Bitcoin halving event, expected around midnight Eastern Standard Time on April 19th. Experts anticipate that after the halving, the bullish trajectory for Bitcoin and other digital assets will likely resume, potentially pushing prices to new all-time highs. Renowned macro analyst Raoul shares a bullish perspective on Bitcoin's future. In a recent interview, Powell suggested that Bitcoin could potentially reach $400,000 per coin before the current cycle ends, highlighting the cryptocurrency's potential for significant growth and its promising outlook for the coming months.
How many times have you eaten junk this week? You're just wasting your money. Stop. You don't have time. Don't miss out this 2025 bull run. Educate yourself first ahead of the crowd. Skip your next junk meal and instead invest in your education. We have created the ultimate step-by-step crypto cheat guide that will guide you this bull run. Unlock the secrets of crypto and make smarter investments today. Now by clicking on the link below to get your exclusive copy just under $10.
So the halving itself is a non-event. It's the signal that you're about to come into crypto summer, which happens to coincide with the presidential election years every time. And it also corresponds with what I call the everything code cycle, which is the debt refinancing cycle, which is the macro cycle. They're all the same thing. So you get this kind of powerful dynamic of politicians giving out free candy because they're going into an election, stimulus. You tend to have a liquidity cycle because of the business cycle, because they have to refinance the debts of the governments. And you tend to have the Bitcoin halving, which is a reduction in supply. And that's why these periods get really quite exciting. It's difficult to know what kind of cycle we're going to be dealing with. There's a school of thought that says it's a left translated cycle, which means it goes up fast early and then peaks early. Most would finish in 2025 in December. That's normally how these crypto cycles have finished. That third year would be a December, November kind of period. So could it come earlier and peter out this year? There's definitely a probability of that. What price would that be? I would say 200,000, something like that. And that would be, okay, that's gone very far, very fast. The most likely outcome is a standard bull market. Now, the last one we had, 2020, 2021, was actually a stunted cycle because really the final leg never happened. We had a huge final leg in 2017 and an even more enormous one in 2013. But last time around, we didn't get one, which caught everybody off surprise, including myself. So somewhere that would be, Bitcoin gets to, let's say, 200 to 250,000, peaks somewhere between the summer and the end of the year. Okay, that seems pretty reasonable. The other probability is that we have a full bubble cycle because now there's more access to it by the ETFs. There's more acceptance. There's more regulatory acceptance. It captures more mind share. There's like 110 million Coinbase wallets and only about 10 million are active right now. So that number can go up dramatically. So we can see a huge participation and a final kind of belief that this is it. That could happen. And in which case, then you could see an extension to maybe 400,000 plus in this cycle. But I would give the short cycle and the bubble cycle roughly the same probabilities. I'm probably more erring towards the bubble cycle, but let's call them both 20% probability and 60% for something normal. So if Bitcoin is the gateway drug, the RAAs, everybody else, you can kind of get your dad across the line with Bitcoin. And you can just use digital gold or, store of value or something that's pretty straightforward. ETH really is the settlement layer for all of the layer twos, but also I think a lot of the financial services industry will build on top of it because it's deemed to be the safe bet. It's like using Salesforce for your CRM and other stuff. It's like using AWS, right? It's the thing you don't get fired for. Now, I think Solana will grab part of that market because of FireDancer, which is much faster. We can talk about that later. But generally speaking, ETH is the easy choice. It's like you work for a large corporation, they'll give you Microsoft Office. ETH is Microsoft Office.
Powell highlights that there's much to anticipate before the bull market concludes in 2025. One aspect of the bull market that excites the former Goldman Sachs executive is the onset of altcoin season. According to Pal, altcoins are poised to enter an extraordinarily bullish phase after a leading altcoin achieves a new all-time high. Drawing from past cycles, Pal expects top altcoins like Ethereum, Solana, and Dogecoin to outperform Bitcoin as the bull market progresses. Another significant event that Pal eagerly anticipates is a shift in central banks' tightening policies and the resumption of quantitative easing. He asserts that 2024 will be a pivotal year for both crypto and macro markets, indicating improved liquidity conditions. During his discussion with Altcoin Daily, Pal elaborates on his expectations for crypto assets during the bull market and identifies potential breakthrough narratives. Furthermore, Pal offers essential investment advice to cryptocurrency investors aiming to capitalize on this substantial opportunity. For more insights from the discussion, viewers can refer to additional clips from the video.
The biggest game in town, however, is what is the Solana of this cycle? If you remember, Solana last cycle was huge. So was Avalanche, so was Polygon. There was a few of them that really got the narrative, and it really Solana won out that as the next big thing. The others are still fine. They've got activity and stuff going on, but not the scale of Solana. The question is what is that one of this cycle? Because you can make some real money in that bet. But this is where people start going too far out the risk curve. You really need to see what is getting some real adoption and a real narrative and real developers working around it and stuff like that. That remains to be seen, but that game is still to be played.
Besides the ETH ecosystem, besides the Solana ecosystem, what is another ecosystem on your radar?
There's two.
Please.
One, as a caveat, I sit on the foundation for SWI, which is an incredible project. That and Aptos are both Move-based. SWI kind of rewrote the whole thing from scratch and have built other stuff around it. Those, I think, you're starting to see other people, Chris Baniski, Melton Demiras, talking about EVM, SVM, MVM. And I think that's probably right. So those are on my radar screen. Obviously, I'm on the foundation, so I'm somewhat biased, but I see behind the curtain the amount of kind of activity and who they talk to and how it talks. The other one is the Cosmos ecosystem. So Celestia would be the obvious one there. There's a few others within that ecosystem. And that is those are the two ecosystems that look like, okay, what is the next big layer one ecosystem? It's one of those two, I think, unless something else randomly comes out of nowhere. The entire game in this adoption curve of crypto, where the whole market cap is going from, let's say, $2.7 trillion today to maybe 10 or 12 trillion dollars at the end of this cycle, to maybe 100 trillion by 2035 or something, right? The entire game is to be in the game. Now, when you use leverage, if the market pulls back, you lose your coins. You're out of the game. Don't be out of the game. Also, don't get distracted from the game. The game is in the mass adoption of the big stuff. The small stuff, do that for fun. Another thing, another way to lose money is doing stuff you shouldn't really be doing, which is suddenly you see high yield somewhere and you're like, oh, I want to get that. Right. These markets go up 100, 200, 300, 400, 500% plus. You don't need to earn 10% yield or 15% yield. You don't, because a yield comes with risk. The only risk-free yield is staking yields when you stake it yourself, but you still have the price risk of Ethereum falling or Solana falling or whatever. But the smart contract risk is almost zero. Soon as you start going out of that world, you're now going out the risk curve. It's like lending to the government versus lending to your friend. You should get higher yields from it because it's riskier, because the chances are they won't pay you back. So that's another thing I think people need to be cautious of. And the other way people get caught out is leaving balances on stuff like MetaMask, thinking it's my wallet, it's fine. And before you know it, you've clicked on a stupid link, your wallet's been drained. For goodness sake, keep most of it on a Ledger or a Trezor, or at worst in Coinbase or one of the big exchanges. But don't just leave it in places that are vulnerable, because your job is not to lose your tokens. That's the one rule of this, is don't part with your tokens. So you just be really, really careful.
Raoul Pal's don't mess this up thesis, as he describes it, primarily focuses on the perils of using leverage in cryptocurrency investments. According to the esteemed macro analyst, leveraging is one of the most significant mistakes a cryptocurrency investor, particularly an inexperienced trader, can make. Pal emphasizes that this is an unparalleled opportunity, and even without leverage, prices are poised to rise substantially in the coming years. He predicts that Bitcoin could reach at least $1 million per coin by 2030. Using leverage exposes investors to the risk of losing their entire investment before major rallies occur. Without leverage, investors stand to benefit as early participants in what Pal considers the most significant investment opportunity ever. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Raoul Pal's insights and his overall perspective on the cryptocurrency industry in 2024 and beyond. Feel free to join the conversation by sharing your comments and observations below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.